have to tell you, their initial reaction was not happy. Their initial reaction was, "We cannot buy this house anymore."
Welcome to a series of unfortunate real estate events, a podcast where we talk about real issues that come up from the time a property goes under contract to the time it actually closes, and what other real estate professionals can learn from them. This week, I'm joined by Agatha Perry Hill from William Raveis Real Estate, and we're going to walk through a couple of closings that just didn't go to plan and how they played out. Agatha, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
We moved to Connecticut in December of 2018. I was a stay-at-home mom with 4 children. My husband is an engineer who builds railroads, and real estate was not in my plans. We kind of had an emergency where we needed a second income, and my husband had this bright idea that I love houses, I love people, therefore I should be a realtor. And I told him, yes, that is all true, but I have no idea what it takes to sell a house. So before we knew it, my mother was visiting from Hungary, and she was on my husband's team on this one. She was like, I think you would be great at this. You sign up for the classes, I will watch the children. So I signed up for the classes. I finished them up right away. Took my first test, flying colors, I think 99% or something like that. And took the state test and got my license. And I haven't stopped since. I still love it, but I had no idea what kind of a ride I was signing up for. This is a lot more than what I anticipated in the beginning, for sure.
But you definitely have the personality for it, right? You balance that warm feeling with the professionalism.
Thank you. I'm usually a happy-to-go-lucky girl, yes.
And you're really good at, I know a lot about you. So, you're also really good with managing everything, right? You're really good at the time management that requires and the focus and the drive. So I think your husband and your mom made a good recommendation to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I try.
So we kind of got a little bit of what got you into real estate. You've been doing it since you said 2018.
No, we moved here to Connecticut in 2018. I got my license in May 2019, right before the pandemic when
Right before
everything
the pandemic.
changed.
At least you had a few months to learn before the pandemic. I know a lot of agents that joined in the pandemic and it came with its share of learning experience.
Unknown,
Yeah, unknown.
for sure. So,
You got to experience a little bit of what it was like to become a real estate agent before the craziness and then some of those skills
yes.
probably afterwards.
So, with me, it was very interesting because I was the girl in the office from drop off until pick up. Every day I was just there to learn in the office. I probably drove my broker crazy because I was the girl with a million questions. And I was just in the office learning how to do CMAs. I went to every broker's open. I had 6 open houses a weekend. I just really like threw myself into the deep end. And then the pandemic happened and everything I learned went straight into the garbage pretty much because it used to be a very strong buyer's market. Now the pandemic turned it into a seller's market. So all those sellers who have been waiting all these years to sell their homes, they were like, "Oh, this is my opportunity to shine." So it was definitely a learning curve. I remember the first time it hit me. I was out with buyers, and there was a huge line, wearing masks waiting to be let in into this multifamily. And I called the lender and I said, "We have to go crazy over asking." He was like, "Are you insane? Like, we don't do that." And I was just like, I think that's the way to go because we used to live in California where it was a seller's market, even though before 2020 it was almost unheard of in Connecticut,
Yeah.
in the previous market to go over asking. I was just like, there was a line to get into the house. We have to overbid. Um, we did, and we still didn't get the house. They had like 58 offers.
But that
So that was like my first wake up call. And then you know, just adjusted. It was very busy. And I couldn't really go to the office anymore because now everything has been shut down. So I pretty much worked from home and watched a lot of experienced agents on YouTube and Facebook, and I was just like, I have to learn this because this is all new now. This is a new world.
it was completely a new world for everybody, right? And yeah, I don't miss those 58 offer days. although I feel like they're somewhat coming back, maybe
Yeah.
not as much as it was in 2020, but it's gotten a little busy again.
Yeah, it's very competitive. Yes.
So one of the misconceptions I think that we're trying to accomplish is I think a lot of people think real estate agents just open doors, right? And I know from my experience with a lot of real estate agents and working with you and as well as others that that's not always the case. We do a lot behind the scenes, and I want to highlight that. So I know we've talked about a couple of deals in the past and we've worked together in the past. I would like you to share a story of one of our clients that things didn't just go to plan through the experience. And I think you said you have a good story of one where it still ended up working out for our clients. I'm going to start asking some questions for you so you can kind of guide you a little bit.
Sure.
Did you represent a buyer or a seller in this transaction?
Buyer.
Buyer. Cash or with a mortgage?
Mortgage.
Okay. So when did things go south?
The final walkthrough.
Okay. So let's back up a little. So I'm assuming inspections went well.
Yes, more or less. Inspection issues were all resolved. My buyers were fully ready to move forward, and we go to the final walkthrough, and all of the seller's personal belongings are still in the house. He forgot to move out.
He forgot to move out. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So, I had to make a few phone calls and we still closed and everything went perfectly fine. I had to have some money held back in escrow and I believe we closed like this was supposed to be closing on a Friday. I think we closed on Tuesday or Wednesday the following week. And yes, my buyers were happy. Everybody was happy, but this was a hiccup.
So going back to it, working with the other agent, you were agent. So as somebody who just didn't know to remind their seller they needed to move out.
So I believe the agent on the other side was not so new. I think the agent did all his due diligence. It's just I think he was dealing with a difficult seller.
I think
Yes.
I don't think I've ever come across that before of a seller that just didn't move out. I've had sellers leave a lot of things behind. Oh, sellers leave a lot of things behind because they thought they could leave whatever junk that they wanted behind because it was as is. But I don't think I've ever had a seller that just left everything.
He did.
So what did you do in that situation? You said you called somebody.
Yeah, so I ended up calling both attorneys.
Okay.
Because our attorney did not pick up the phone. He was busy. So I ended up calling the seller's attorney because the seller's agent didn't pick up. And I just told him we are having a situation here where this is the final walkthrough and the seller's personal items are still in the house. Everything. Nothing has been since we were here last. And the seller's attorney started making some phone calls and it all worked out. And I'm so sorry, my dog is providing background
It's
working.
okay.
It's probably a squirrel. Sorry.
It's a fun part of having pets, but
Yeah.
I could take it all out in editing, so don't worry. I'll
Okay.
edit what I'm about to. So seller's attorney made some calls. What was your client's reaction?
Um, so it was tough because my client just underwent a very serious surgery and I was worried that they were going to have an episode. So I was trying to keep everybody composed as much as I could to keep, everything moving. It all worked out, thank God. At the end, they were very happy, so I think that's all that matters. But it was definitely something I've never seen before because it was a well-planned closing. I think it was like a 60-day closing because the seller did need time. He was a collector, so he had a lot of expensive items. And I have to tell you, their initial reaction was not happy. Their initial reaction was, "We cannot buy this house anymore." And I just asked them, "Do you not like the house anymore?" Because things can be moved. When with being my husband's wife, we moved around every 2 years due to his career cross country. So I know what a moving crew can do in a day or two. So I told them, just picture the house fully empty or with your belongings. Would you still not want it? Because we can fix this. And they still wanted the house. They were just taken aback
Yeah.
by all the stuff.
I can't imagine moving to a house and closing and saying everything's in the house. What do you do?
But we had to do another final walkthrough.
Right. But I'm meaning So I can't imagine what it would be like to that first moment for the buyers, right? That's got to be extreme.
Yes,
They're all excited to find out the seller didn't move.
it's like a mini heart attack.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they were lucky to have you on your side because you guys worked together to figure it out, and they ended up closing their house.
Yes.
So if you're were to give a piece of advice for a newer agent, what would you say could have been done differently to help? Not necessarily on your side, because I don't think you could have done anything differently, but maybe something that we could have done from the seller's point of view.
So I know some agents, they do the final walkthrough by themselves before the actual final walkthrough, like the night before. I think that definitely would have helped. But, of course, we are all busy. Sometimes it's not an option. So I'm not trying to say all listing agents should do this because, life happens. Ideally, I think that would be a great idea. But again, sometimes it's just not a possibility. So, I don't think it was communication because the agent is very communicative and he was experienced on the other side. So I don't think he could have necessarily done anything. I think sometimes it's not us realtors spreading the message, it's the sellers receiving it or comprehending it.
Well, it's also I gotta imagine that most real estate agents, most real estate attorneys don't think that we need to mention, "Hey, make sure your stuff is out before closing," right?
Yes.
I mean, how often do we really run into this as professionals? We don't maybe 1 or 2 things left behind, but never a full house?
So interestingly, ever since that incident, I always make sure that I walk my sellers through this. So I always tell them, hey, by the way, you're selling your house. You will have to be out by that date. And, sometimes people are taken aback. They're like, what? Like, we just thought we were going to sell and then, we will have time like a week or two. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not the case. It's supposed to be empty, broom clean by the time the buyer's final walkthrough is, which means you probably have to move your stuff out a day or two before because, moving can be messy.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I think there are things in our industry that because we do it every day, we take things for granted. And then with experience from past mistakes, we realize maybe this is not so given to everybody. So maybe I should break it down.
I
But
think
you
that
also don't want to, I think it's a slippery slope because you also don't want to dumb it down too much to the point where they would ask you, like, you think I'm dumb? Because that's not our case. That's not their point here either.
but I think there's a good way you can say that is, a lot of my clients don't realize that they have to be out. So I'm just sharing this with you so you're prepared because and tell this you could tell this story now, right? Of listen, we had a client, we had a buyer that we went to go close with, and they weren't out of the house and it disrupted everything and almost killed the closing. So we don't want that to happen.
Right.
I think if you come with it that way, no one's gonna feel like you're dumb. Dumbing it down,
Yeah.
or treating them like they're dumb. Yeah. No.
Yes.
No, that's key. You have any other good stories we could share? Because that's an extremely interesting one.
Yes. So, I have a few actually. So, I had one where it was an estate. I represented the buyer, and the seller was, the deceased owner's family, and they had absolutely no funds, for repairs whatsoever. My buyer, first time buyer, they had to pay for repairs that came up during the appraisal,
Stuff.
and they did. And in the meantime, Chafa decided to stricten their rules when it comes to income, and they started counting my buyer's potential income instead of the real income. Counting, oh, if you did all the overtime possible in the world, you could have made X amount of money, which they never have in their lives. So their loan got denied at the Chafa level. So we are on lender number 2 at that point, and my clients have put their own money into the repairs. So last minute, I'm going back to the listing agent and I say, listen, we can still close. It just has to be a 2 or 3K renovation loan with FHA and with Chafa. And they will qualify. I knew they could buy the house. Everybody knew on our side. It worked out.
All right. So
Thank God, but it was tough from contract to close, not to my buyer's fault. It took
okay.
so
So so a
that's
little bit of education for anyone that's watching that doesn't understand why the repairs after the appraisal. And when you're buying a house with FHA, there's certain standards and items that have to be in good condition. You can't have peeling paint, can't have broken windows, the appliances have to work. There's a few other things, but so your client, how much did they spend?
Of dollars. Just for the record, their original loan was going to be conventional. So it was not peeling paint. It was appraisal issues for safety, such as the stairs going up to the house were deteriorating.
Okay.
Like, just how do you call it? Deferred maintenance on the property.
Okay.
And they had a lot of those. So my clients agreed to pay for those because they really wanted the house. And we went from conventional to FHA. So now with FHA, there had to be another appraisal done.
Did they at least get did they at least get money to renovate the house in the way they wanted to?
Yes, they did.
So the other point is for anyone that's watching that doesn't understand, you can do an FHA 203K loan means you can go and do renovations on the house to make the house what you want it to be for your family, right?
Yes,
And they are a big pain in the neck because we need to rely on contractors giving estimates in a specific way. So
yes,
when that comes up, you've got to have a team there that worked well.
yes. And thank God we had an amazing team put together. Yes. It involved a lot of paperwork. The contractor had to be certified with the bank to be a PK renovation specialist contractor. The appraisal had to go back out. And
It's lots
by
of
the time we did all our stuff and we were ready to close, we found out that there were 11 open permits. So that was definitely a long one. But again, it was no fault of my buyers. So, we just did an extension. Some of the permits, thank God, we could negotiate with the city inspector because some of the areas of the house needed full rehab. So those open permits, we just explained to the city inspector, hey, they are going to have a new kitchen, a new bathroom. So we're not going to fix grandma's old bathtub and the valve on it because they're putting in a new bathroom. And they were like, okay, no problem. So it all worked out. It was just a long process.
yeah, no. 203Ks are fun and they can be stressful. So, I'm glad you were able to help your client with that. And then at the end of the day, they're worth it because you get the house you want,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yes. And they got a good deal too, like phenomenal price. Um, they they did great at the end, but it took perseverance on their part too, because 4 months you're under contract and closing date kept getting extended to
But
no
it
fault of
happened.
their own. It was a lot.
And I think the key there is if they didn't have you by their side, they may not have been as calm and able to get through this. Because being told a lot of that situation, your mortgage is denied, and being able to pivot, it requires having somebody on their side that understands and able to connect them. Because you said they went to a separate lender too, right?
Yes.
And were you involved with that decision of like, did you make a referral to a lender that you knew that could help? Or
So thank God I didn't have to make that decision. The lender that we were working with, he's excellent and he has a ton of experience. So once he realized that his new company cannot no longer help these clients, he said, "You know what? This is the problem, but I'm bringing you the solution. I already referred them out to this girl. She's excellent. This is her specialty. She will take excellent care of them." And she did, and we closed, I think, in 4 weeks afterwards, just as planned. So that was great.
so the lesson I'm going to tell you, whoever's listening, to take from this, and I'm going to ask you your thoughts afterwards. It's having the right people on your team makes all the difference.
Yes.
Because in this situation, had they not had you in that real estate, the mortgage broker, it might have gone differently.
Yes.
They may not have qualified, or they may have not been able to do what they did, right? So having the right team helps you through the process.
I agree.
You got some tough ones there. Like we were talking about before, I think a lot of the world doesn't see what we do. You did a lot of hard work behind the scenes. One, to keep extending it to keep that deal alive. And two, is being able to connect to the people. In both those situations, you were able to help your clients go from a stressful situation to a happy ending,
Yes.
right? And nobody sees that stress that you went through to help kind of guide them through that process.
Yes.
A lot of what we do is avoid and fix problems before they become massive and kill our deals. So
Yes.
have you gone back to see the house after it's been renovated?
Not yet. This deal closed fairly recently.
Perfect. Agoda, thank you for having us, or Agatha, sorry. I always butcher your name.
It's okay.
Thank you for joining us today. I enjoyed your stories. You gave me a new perspective with I've not had anyone that's left all their property behind and not or not moved out. So I got to think about that one now. When that comes up, I'm going to think of you and how to prepare for it.
Yes.
Somebody is looking for a real estate agent and a good one, and somebody that's going to be a problem solver. How do they reach you?
You can reach me on my cell phone, 505-463-2036, or you can email me at Agota, Agota dot Perryhill, Perryhill.
Perfect. And I'll put all that information in the show notes. So if you guys want a great real estate agent, be sure to reach out to Agatha. Thank you
Thank
so much.
Thank you, Kishore. Have a good one.
You too.